Hello, and welcome to today's Rate Fast Speed seminar. I'm Dr. John Alchemy, and today we're going to be exploring the digitization of workers' compensation. First, let's define what digitization is. Digitization is simply the process of creating a digital overlay on a real-world situation. It's using this process that allows the user to input meaningful content into a system that can later be used for calculations and/or making determinations in a consistent manner. Once a system becomes digitized, the results become much more standard across a larger variety of users, and the conclusions can be arrived at much faster and more accurately than when done manually. In workers' compensation, think about the large opportunity of error for preparing all the impairment reports, which have to be done manually, not only with the collection of the data, but then with the calculation of that data once it's been obtained. Simply put, digitization allows a large user base to consistently collect the same information, so accurate and consistent results are now obtainable. Now a couple comments on what we refer to as nerd knowledge. And actually for today's speed seminar, these are more of nerd observations. Despite the scope and size and bureaucracy included with workers' compensation, there has yet to be a concerted effort to digitize the process by one group or entity. The digitization of workers' compensation will mean a standardized process using digital devices to collect essential and critical information using computer technology. There's a study to back this up. In 2006, a study found that 79% of reviewed low back claims in California were incorrect. The take-home is this. Without the digitization of workers' compensation and impairment rating, we really don't have much of a chance of hoping for any accuracy or consistency across the user base. This means high prices for settling claims and dependency of a very large system on a very small group of quote-unquote experts to help arrive at correct values for monetizing work injury. Now let's talk about a little problem solving. Before I present this scenario, I want to just clarify and give a clear example of what digitization is. Let's say, for instance, you're going to buy a car. You want to know the value of that car, so you go to a site. Perhaps you go to Kelley Blue Book. The process of pricing cars have been digitized for a long time. And when you're particularly looking at this car you're interested in, the question on Kelley Blue Book comes in as, what are the types of seats? The answer to this could be many. You could say the seats are plaid, or the seats have armrests, or the seats have head restraints. But those answers don't really add to the value or understanding of the car. Instead, the process has been digitized. So your options for what type of seats are in the car are simply cloth or leather. Since those pieces of information are critical to assigning a price value to the car, they are given to the user to guide the process as you look at the car in the real world and transfer it into a digitized process for actually monetizing the value of the car you're interested in. Now our teaching point is today a QME who's doing an exam for a right shoulder. The QME actually did a pretty good job and took 2 measurements of the injured side and actually even used a goniometer. The report was done manually and turned into the carrier. The adjuster reviewed the case, and given that they didn't have a strong concept or understanding of the AMA guides, they chose to use a tool that digitized the process. The adjuster simply took the information in the report, went through the digitized process of the impairment rating program, and found that actually the QME had forgotten to take measurements on the left uninjured side. Once the report had been digitized, it was very clear to the adjuster that half of the data set for the impairment rating was actually absent. What's the benefit of this? Well, the benefit is several. First, when a process is digitized, it gives the user access to the specialty information within the system being considered. In our example here, for California, that's the AMA Guide's 5th edition administrative rule set. Number 2, it allows the user to be very specific in understanding what the problem is and how to go about addressing and fixing the problem efficiently and quickly. In this example, the insurance adjuster simply was able to write a letter to the physician and say, please submit left side measurements so we can correctly monetize and create the correct impairment value for this individual. And finally, the physician who now receives that letter is very clear on what they need to do to comply with the administrative rule set and correctly assign the impairment value in this claim. Without the digitization of the impairment rating process, this system of correction may have taken months or even a year or two in our present system to get the correct rating figured out. Costly, expensive, and frustrating. Thanks for joining us today for the SPEED seminar on the digitization of workers' compensation and specifically impairment rating. If you would like to learn more, please come join us at rate-fast.com. Click on the blog site to learn more about digitization of workers' compensation or many other interesting topics relevant to workers' compensation. Thank you.